What are these glass garden things? Well, stick around and you will find out because it's something I think you need for your garden. So some of you may be asking, what are these glass domes or bell jars or cloche, cloche, cloche? But the word is French for bell, and you can see it's glass, so they call it a bell jar. And its job is to extend your growing season. So here it is in January, 27 degrees last night, and these plants are doing okay. I put the bell jars on them when they were much smaller to see what I could get through the winter. Of course, winter's not over yet. But compare that to this. This had nothing on it, obviously, and the cage is to keep my dog from trampling on it. This just basically stopped growing. And you can see this didn't fare so well in the freezing weather. And this kale I found as a volunteer probably in December. So I threw this cloche or cloche on here, and it hasn't grown a lot, but it's kept it alive. And when spring comes, I'll be able to lift this cloche off and I'll have some early greens. Now these cloches, this one's about 12, 13, 14 inches tall if you include the handle. They run between $50 and $60, so they're expensive. But I'm always about use what you have, so I took a trip to the thrift store. And this is what I found. This is a punch bowl, and I thought it would make a perfect cloche. So I bought another, which is just a decorative bowl that really didn't have, it could be a small punch, obviously a punch bowl, a serving bowl, because not every plant I need is gonna have to be huge. You can see it's not that big, my hand. So I got some old knobs, and I had to make sure with these knobs, I had to make sure that they didn't have this little pointy thing in it right here. So I can find a better view of that. Oh, there you go. That pointy thing is designed so when you put this into the wood and you go to pull it, this doesn't pivot. So you don't want that because obviously you can't get that in the glass. And the other one that I wouldn't recommend is something that has the screw that goes all the way through, because then you end up, when you take the screw out, you have a hole. And when you have that, of course, water can get in. Of course, you can fill it too. So I have some other knobs that I took the bottoms off, the screws off the bottom, tested them out, which one I liked. So flip these over. End up liking this one here. It's the biggest one. Put your hand, you'll have gloves on, so you want to think about that. I did have this other one I want to show you, which I really think is pretty. It's a dragonfly. But I went to pick it up with gloves on. It just was a little cumbersome, so as pretty as it is, I won't be using it for this. And then that and this. And I looked at several glues and have settled on this one. I don't know, everybody sees this advertised, but it's not that it clear is nice, but mostly it's waterproof and it lasts a long time. The cure rate is 7 days. So what I'll be doing is putting some on each one of these, leaving them to be still for a week or so. And then I'll have my own homemade cloches, which are a lot cheaper. Now the question is, how tall are these? I don't know, maybe 8 inches. So while this one couldn't produce the big plant and all that as the big ones, as you can tell, the ones that were taller. But what it does do is if you want to start seedlings in here, then you can. And if you want some, I don't know, spinach or lettuce or, even a tomato, just to start it off. Now this is just 3 and you're thinking, okay, that's not, much food. But the idea is to try something new, experiment with it. It's pretty cheap. I think this was $2 at the thrift store. The handle was something I had in my collection, but I'm sure you could find one at a thrift store as well. The glue was probably the most expensive part, which I think this was even $8, but I will use it for other things. But you don't have to use this. You can experiment. And now that you have the idea, there's lots of glass out there that is not being used. People just don't use punch bowls anymore. And there were at least 10 on the shelf. All of them had punch glasses in it, the actual cup with a handle. And I took this one because it had no matches with it. But who cares? Because the lady that was at the thrift store said literally no one buys these. So if you want to help society, help the earth, go to the thrift store, find some glassware, turn it upside down, add a handle, and then add it to your garden. And every year, if you find it works for just a few bucks, you can just keep it going, and so you have enough for your whole garden. There's a link below that talks about how to use a cloche. There are lots of YouTubes out there. This is just one of them. So happy hunting on that side if you want to learn more or there's something that is not answered. And let us know how this works for you. Go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram. Talk to us. We'd love to hear how this is working out for you. Happy gardening.